Now then, people, good afternoon and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Today we're going to be trying to cut through all the BS, cut through all the shite. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to read. I just don't know anymore. Leeds United seem to be remaining tight-lipped. But we continuously keep getting linked to the same players. More specifically, Mergim Berisha and Emmanuel Latte. Maybe there's something in it, potentially. Obviously, I wanted to get your thoughts and have a chat about Barker was, I don't know, he seemed to allude to the fact that Leeds United still might look at one or two. I've listened to a lot of Leeds United content. I listened to the Square Ball. I think they were, when we did the panel show the other night, I was quite surprised at the calmness within the panel and also in the chat. Like people telling me, I'm trying to chat out. You don't know what you're talking about. We don't need anyone. So it was quite refreshing to hear the Square Ball lads sort of singing off the same hymn sheet of let's just push the envelope. Let's just get something over the line. And they spoke specifically about that 9 because we have Mateo Joseph, the only fit striker, by the way, folks, for Saturday. The only fit striker, because Pirot is not going to be risked, and Bamford's Bamford. Bamford's done. So we need to obviously stay awake, as people are saying in the chat. And we continuously keep being linked to Mergim Berisha and Latte from a number of sources now. And Leeds United are having to answer questions on it and are saying, no, it's way wide of the mark. There's a reason why the journalists are asking the questions, right? If it was Ryan Kent, they're not going to go to Leeds United and say, are we actually in for Ryan, are we actually in for Ryan Kent? So there might be some validity to it. It's quite interesting hearing the back of the Inside Ellen Road podcast and Joe Donoghue speaking about a potential Portuguese player in the summer, whoever that is. He'll know because he'll have had his info, and I know where you get it from, Mr. Joe D. And he also mentioned Rushworth as well. Now Rushworth's not going to be one for Leeds United to look at in the January window, but could be one we look at in the summer by all accounts. I can see people obviously being quite scathing towards the potential signing of Mergim Berisha because of his goal return, etc. We have to factor in, though, he's not had a good time at Hoffenheim. He's fallen out with the manager. He's had injuries and stuff, so I don't want to write off a player. And you know me, I'm very much, I know that strikers are there to score goals and stuff, but also to facilitate. I mean, as based on what people have told me, I've not watched him play, but from what you read and stuff, he's very much in the Bamford mould in terms of his style. So it could be more suited to what Leeds United need. Borough and Watford in for Travers on loan. I know we're not getting a keeper. The manager's confirmed that fact, Tanny. Let's be honest. We know that that's not going to fly. I'm just listening.
Oh, man. I just went out of the option I'm going to launch. If I say go 10 minutes or something, I'll be able to jump on that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I asked Andrea if he was about, but he's gone on his lunch, is what he was just saying. Did you see Daniel Farker won Manager of the Month as well? Let's hope it's not cursed. And when we return to league play, we get beat. Someone just said John Joe Shelvey to Burnley. Is that true? Shelvey at this level, he's no joke. I actually rate John Joe Shelvey. He's not a bad player. He's played for Germany, getting most championship teams. No more guy. No, we're quick to write people off. Like the rate in which people were ready to say, oh, well, Enzo Lafe's not good because he's got no goals and an assist. G&A merchants, innit? G&A merchants, I like to call them. There's more to the game sometimes than goals and assists. You know, Moises Caicedo doesn't get a lot of G&A. He's unbelievable. So Jeffrey Mayer says Berisha does less movement in the box than Pirro. I don't know, mate. You clearly know more than me. So I'm not going to sit here and say I can tell you any different because I don't. We do have cash. You are right, Hannah. Hannah Boney is mentioned that, that we do have cash, and he made a point of mentioning that in the presser. So I thought that was quite telling. But the reason I wanted to talk, we could go through BS links like a lot of people tend to do. Those that will give you the news, and that's great. Not so much giving an opinion, but just giving the news. But then there's some that will like dress it up as though this is going to happen, like the Harrison stuff and this player and that player, and it's all just BS. I'll see the wood through the trees, you know. They were telling us we're getting Philip Billing. He's going to Napoli, you know. There was other links as well to players. And Ciso's going to Spain, I think. I don't know. Talk about Blades having 3 busloads of fans last night. Listen, mate, it's more a nod to the fact. Listen, I'm not going to be too harsh on that. At the end of the day, they were playing Cardiff, league opposition, shite. It was a Thursday night. When did FA Cup start on a Thursday night? Oh, that's so harsh, mate. So harsh, but I'm not going to get into Farker talk. He'll get us promoted. No return for Harrison. It was never on the cards anyway, man. Why would Jack Harrison? Like, people forget. Plus, there's a new manager coming in, and I think actually David Moyes will like working with Jack. So, yeah, I think he'll do all right. Let's not forget he started in the last 3 draws against Chelsea, City, and Arsenal. There's a reason he does that, right? Reason he does that. Yeah, Mr. Dodo, we probably did. You're a bore at parties, aren't you, Yorkshireman? He's negative at parties. I know that much if you start asking him about Daniel Farker. So I do want to, like, obviously just share a few things from the Leeds United Twitter space, if you like. I did see this, Matthew. Yeah, it's a massive loss for them because he's been their standout player this month, hasn't he? Boy, signed 6-match ban. I didn't even know that he'd spat at a Sunderland player. So he's been banned for 6 matches. Is their shining light, isn't he? So look, this is what we're going to be talking about, the Orange Raider, really. And obviously we're continuously being linked to Mergin Berisha and Latte. I'll just quickly share with you a few of tweets, obviously. Now, Kyle Newbold, who does a lot of the aggregating stuff for Leeds United Live, I believe, or it might be the YEP. I think it's the YEP, actually. Just done an article saying that Leeds have dismissed reports of interest in Berisha. A speculation club maintain they expect a quiet month. Reports are claiming that we have shown interest in the 26-year-old striker who has 1 goal in 26 games since joining Hoffenheim in 2023. Obviously has not had a good time and has fallen out with the manager, and the manager's come out now and said he's gone, or he can go. Joe Donahue has obviously gone to the YEP as well because there was a lot of talk about Latte, because there were reports that we were serious about a £15 million deal for Middlesbrough striker Latte this month. And they've said it's untrue, and they're going to the club. But then this came out yesterday from Ben Heckner, Sky Sport Ben, who said that Werder Bremen and Leeds are still interested in Hoffenheim's Mergin Berisha possible scenario loan deal for 18 months with an option to buy the former German international. And that's from Florian Plettenberg from Sky Sports Deutschland. I was unsure on Ben Heckner because I've not come across him before, but when you actually look, he's followed by the likes of Fabrizio Romano and stuff, and must work closely or for Sky Sports Deutschland. You can see here just at some event where Jamal Musiala was. So it could potentially have legs. Now, there's a reason they're reporting this, right? Like, Dr. Cox says, need a striker, to be honest, even if it's a loan. Don't want Berisha. Why don't you want Berisha? Explain that to me. He's a guy that's played for Germany. You've got to understand as well, there's a reason Werder Bremen are going after him. He's in the Bundesliga, where in the Championship, we've seen how Gruev and now Tanaka obviously operating in Bundesliga too, have taken to life in the Championship. There is levels to this, and I haven't seen enough of him. I don't know enough of Mergin Berisha, but I would assume that he would be able to, definitely cook at this level, as Iba would say. Come on, there's levels to this game. Let's not forget Latte. So by the same logic, now we're linked to Latte, for example. I'm just going to check his numbers in before he moved over from Serie B. So he'd played 18 times for Spal. He'd originally started at Atlanta at Latte, then moved on to Pescara. Didn't play any time, and then went to Spal. He started 9 games, got 3 goals. He then goes to St. Gallen, which is the Swiss league, scores 14 goals, gets a move to Middlesbrough. But sometimes players in certain leagues just don't hit. And now there's talk of Latte going to the Premier League and potentially Leeds United being interested in him as well. He scored 10 goals this season in 17 starts, has 2 assists, has 12 goals to his 12 GNA in total. By that logic, we'd be sort of writing off Latte, but we'd all go, yeah, I'll take Latte because he's played in the Championship and stuff, and we see how good he is. That's Latte's record. I just check, and obviously he offers a lot when you look at obviously his pressing and all this sort of tackles, interceptions, successful take-ons. He's probably more in the mold of a striker that Leeds United need, really. Just search Berisha now. Obviously, German international, has played in Germany. Sorry, that's really bouncing around a lot there. There we go. Similar stylistically in terms of statistics to Jamie Vardy, and we know what Jamie Vardy did. Ivan Nielsen, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Rasmus Højlund, Cameron Archer. If I were to say to you, would you take Ivan Nielsen? You'd take Giroud. I'd even take Giroud. I'm not even joking to you. I fucking love Giroud. He's one of the most underrated strikers ever. Jean-Philippe Mateta, Højlund, Archer, Vardy. You would all say yes. So come on, let's not write a guy off before he's even come. And again, I've not watched him play. Never been prolific. Obviously, scored 14 at Salzburg, which got him his move to Fenerbahce. He's got a host of experience. Look, his goal scoring numbers aren't amazing, but he may well be in the mold of a striker that Leeds United need, which will help facilitate the 10, which will help facilitate the right winger, the left winger, etc. No, not quick, but tall, physical, good movement and finish as well when he gets his chances. So I would never write a player off that I haven't seen just based on, he only got this last season, so he must be shit. I hate this notion. I see it all the time. I've seen it a lot with the Enzo Lafi stuff. Well, if he's going Sunderland, he's clearly not. If he's that good, why don't Premier League? All this sort of stuff. And I just have to turn to you and say, who's probably been the marquee signing for Leeds United? You would all say Al Tanaka. Well, no Premier League club wanted Al. He was in Bundesliga too. So, we have to remember these things when we think about it. There is also, again, just to share what I was previously doing, watching it unfold. 1 second. There's also been this from Ekram Corner, but again, Corner, I'm not too sure on, if I'm being totally honest. He's DM'd me before. Back in the day before, so I would take everything it takes with a pinch of salt, to be honest. But he's saying Leeds United are continuing talks to sign Middlesbrough striker Emmanuel Latte. I think, listen, who would I rather have? I'd rather have Latte, but I think he costs more. you're taking him from a rival who's competing for the top 6. He's going to cost a hell of a lot more. Whereas Berisha, if we are seeing, listen, again, trying to cut through the shite that we're seeing, I don't know how realistic we are, but these two names continuously are being linked. These players are continuously being linked. Michael, you would say that in response to probably hate the manager, but he's not better than Solomon. He's not. And he's certainly not had more impact than Tanaka. Yeah, he's good. But let's not. Listen, if you think he's the marquee signing, I guess football's apart opinions, but he's not for me. He's good, though, great, and obviously he's our player, etc. But he's not better than what's in front of him at this moment in time for me. But that's just my opinion. You know, Solomon's, I think, most successful dribbles or whatever per 90 since coming on. He very rarely loses the ball. There we go. Jeffrey says, so I watched Tanaka at Fortuna Dusseldorf and Berisha at Augsburg, and I was all for him coming when he was mentioned. That's my standard, Jeffrey. If you watch regularly, then you will know much more than me. So what is your assessment of Berisha based on this? The fact that you've watched him play, could he do it in the Championship? Is it worth a punt, if you like, as Dr. Cox said it earlier, based on the fact that we need a striker? And is he in the mould that would suit our system? You can give us your time. Yeah, and like just on Largy, he's got a hell of a long way to go in terms of his Leeds United contract. I get the Tacticos love him and all that sort of stuff and hate Solomon, and you know, it is what it is. But he was very good, yeah. He was very good. Yeah, he was. I'm not going to say that, but I don't think he's better than Solomon. That's just my opinion. I don't. I know that a lot of people will disagree with that. That's just my opinion. I think we get more out of. I think we get more out of Solomon currently. And, you know, we can talk about how he was before injury, and he was amazing, but he did start away at Derby and was shite. So we have to remember that as well, folks. Largy could surpass some of the, just need to be, yeah, exactly, time. Do you no winger's better than James this season? You can talk about technical ability, you can talk about what the future might look like, but no one's better than James. I would argue James has been our best player all season, so that's a bit of a wild take, Yorkshireman, if I do say so myself. I think James has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Solomon has been great. There's room to put Largy in for certain situations. Yeah, of course, there's room to try and get him in. There's room to try and get him in. Potentially, he'll start at the weekend. You imagine Ramazani and Nonto start? They need to show us. Ramazani and Nonto and Joseph should absolutely cook League Two Harrogate at home. They should. They should be getting a goal. They should be chomping at the bit. You know? So we'll wait and see. When did James get his black eye? I'm not sure. Was it in one of the other games? I don't even know if we aim to keep him, to be honest. Like, I think but hear me now, just because I'm saying, you know, I think he's one of the better options in the front four at the minute. We could go get better in the summer. You know, we could go get better. It's not difficult to do, I don't think. But like I say, we've got this weekend's game. There's no pressure on it, and these lads that are knocking at the door, you know, because I got frustrated after seeing Nonto at Derby, but they need a performance, because if not, they're not getting a look in again, because the fixture list now drops significantly. to what we've had over the last few weeks. You know, you're looking at Sunday against Wednesday, then midweek Wednesday against Norwich, then you play your game Monday night, and then, you know, the games aren't as crazy as they were. No 3 games in 7 days for a period, and that it sort of stretches out. So your chance for minutes become limited. You know, your chances for minutes become limited. So I think they need to put up, you know. I think, yeah, it is what it is. I don't want to tend shots all over the gas, all over the gap, subliminals and all that sort of stuff. But I think sometimes the praise and noise around them's not as big as what I'm seeing. But again, people see things differently, don't they? And that's fine as well. But I'm, apart from the first few weeks of the season, yet to see anything from Willie Gnonto. I thought Ramazani was good prior to injury. I can only go on what I recently saw. They need a big performance, and so does Matteo. Like I think people maybe misconstrued criticisms of Matteo that you don't rate the lad, etc. Matteo's clearly the future, but future being the key word, because you can't tell me of a standout performance, which has included goals as well, because that's how everyone thingy. Pre-season and Chelsea in the FA Cup or League Cup, whatever it was. Outside of that, he's had some okay performances, but nothing amazing. Yeah, I picked my front four earlier on for Harrogate. I mean, this was the lineup that I went with, actually, if you've not seen my preview. So I went Darlow in goal, Bogle at right back, because I don't think we have any options there. Debayo Strauch with Schmidt at left back. Crew and Gulavogi in midfield. Now, I would have gone Chambers, and I did go Chambers, but then I think he might give Joffy a run out and could play Joffy in the 10 with Gnonto and Ramazani on the wings, or he might play Joffy out on the right and Gnonto in the 10. So that'll give people a chance to see the wingers in the 10 and see whether or not they can do it. But please remember, it is League 2 opposition. But I think right back will struggle for an option there. Schmidt gets a start. Strauch and Debayo. Crew, Gulavogi. I can't wait to see Gulavogi, if I'm honest, for a full 90. Gnonto, Joffy, Ramazani, and Joseph. I think Joffy could play. I think he deserves to play as well, unless there's a move like there right now, you know. Yeah, maybe. But that's the worry then, is it? If Leeds United go out and sign a striker in the summer, if we get promoted, his minutes are even less, and you might be looking at a loan for him, etc. But you don't want to say that out loud to the tacticos, etc., because they think he's ready now. So, like, lead the line and take us to the fucking Premier League. And I just don't see what they're seeing. Because at the minute, he can't finish his dinner. I think it's down to pressure as well. And that comes with experience and comes with time. But who am I? What do I know? Right? Everyone has an opinion, and that's totally fine. So we'll have to wait and see on Joseph. Joe, I reckon, Brent, you might see Ampadu because of experience, but I think you've got enough there with Gulavogi. I don't think Rodon could probably do with the rest. Maybe he decides to rest Strauch, because he had an injury and whatnot, and he plays Rodon alongside Debayo. I'm not sure. Brendan, I don't think he should be given. I don't think he should start. He should be given a rest. And if you want to try someone else out in the 10, this is the perfect game to do it. So you've got to do it, right? But yeah, I do think he will. But look, the difference between this year and last year is our squad is stacked. We're always talking about the bench, etc. So you can still get away with Joseph, Gnonto, Ramazani, Joffy, Gulavogi, Crew, Schmidt, Debayo, players that aren't first teamers, still get Chambers, etc. Still should have enough for Harrogate. You know? Always remember Joe saying, don't let him shoot on about Latte, and he did, and he scored. Yeah, man, it's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. I think the watch-alongs might even get a little bit more crazy, because I've got a new desk coming. That raises, so I can stand up, see your back and all that sort of stuff. So it goes up and down. So I'm looking forward to that, because I think I'll like to stand now and again during the watch-alongs. So that should be fun. So it might get a little bit more intense. I've got to view a property in Halifax as well on Tuesday, so get back to Yorkshire. I can't wait for that. I need to have a look. Honestly, mate, do you know what I've done today, Justin, on the start of the year? And it just shows I was replying to emails that were sent to me back at the start of last year. Last year was so difficult for me. I was very lonely at home, struggling, and then my mum and all that. So I know that was later on in the year, but last year was just really piss poor for me. You don't realise, until you're through it. And I've started running again, and I'm looking forward. I've got a half marathon in Leeds to look forward to. I'm hopefully doing the square ball walk, which this year is 120 miles from Newcastle to Leeds. So I've got all these things to look forward to. Moving back to Halifax, that's why I've stripped back the content a little bit and focusing on me and mine and seeing which ways I want to go. So yeah. Joe, you need a new mic. It just needs turning down. It was bob on. I think, yeah, I need maybe something that sits in front of it. I remember Dan Moylan telling me something that sits in front of it that'll stop the popping. I'll get round to it though, mate. Doubt it's a statistic. What's this statistic? We win more when Joseph starts and Pirro comes off the bench. I don't think that will be a statistical fact, to be honest. I think anyway. Yeah, man, I can't wait. Can't wait, to be honest. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So yeah, I mean, folks, what's the general consensus in the chat? Cutting through the shit. Do you think that Leeds United will get the players that they need? I'd love a 10 and I'd love a striker, I think. Maybe even cover at centre back. Everywhere else was that. I'm really surprised at the way in which people are just saying we don't need any players, and this is how it reads to me, folks. Is they're that against the manager? It's an agenda because last year they were all begging for players, but now they're all saying he's got enough. It genuinely feels there is. It's almost like they don't want him to have players so that they can go, well, he had enough and he fucked it up. Whereas for me, I'm just thinking about Leeds United and what's best for Leeds United. And getting players in is best for Leeds United. So I'm really confused why you wouldn't look at our squad and say, yeah, it's one of the best. But if not the best, you still supplement it. Because we still haven't got another number 10. We don't have that. I see people posting up their best 11s that don't include a 10, but then are saying that we don't need a 10. I'm confused. We do need players, and I do think it is bizarre. And for me, if the 49ers don't get it, well, what I'd want is clarification. And unfortunately, you can't get clarification until the manager leaves, like we used to do under Bielsa. Remember, we used to say Bielsa, we didn't find out till after that we offered him players and, they weren't. And then we find out, that the players he was offered was fucking Harry Winks and stuff. And I just hope that they aren't going down the same rhetoric of offering Farker players that he doesn't want. We can all talk about Farker maybe turning them down, but I remember having these same conversations under Bielsa and people telling me he's turned down players, and then you find out the shit that he got offered. Donny van de Beek, fucking Harry Winks, and he said they're not good enough. How do we know that these things aren't happening as well? With regards to the manager and saying, oh, well, I've told you I don't want that guy, but we don't find out, do we? Until after the fact, which is a shame. I wish they'd come out. I wish someone had come out and say, well, actually, we've offered Daniel a goalkeeper and a striker and that. So then we can actually just lay the blame at his door. I mean, one thing's for sure, if he does start Meslier against Sheff Wednesday, which I think he will based on his comments, if the keeper drops a ball, it's on the manager. It's on the manager. The thing is, players they all might want don't want us. I think any player you're going for at this time of year, you would hope they'd be going for players that are gettable. You know, players that aren't playing, etc. See, that's just so. Either way, it's Farke's fault, Mark, and that for me is an agenda. You really dislike the manager, so if you don't get players, it's Farke, and if we do, he won't use them properly. So he's effective. He does if you don't. Where's this coming from, by the way? Where's this coming from that he isn't using? Are people butthurt that he's not using Ramazani instead of Solomon? Are people annoyed at the Schmidt situation? I think it's got to a point now where Schmidt has to start. If he doesn't start this weekend, then there's clearly he doesn't rate him. But what about if he gets players that he wants and he does use them? Why isn't that an option, Mark? And can you tell me which players he doesn't use properly? If you could tell me, then we can have a conversation. Like, at least you've admitted it. But which players, in your opinion, doesn't he use properly? Just out of interest, so I can validate your opinion or give a dispute to it, because I don't know which players we're referring to that he isn't using properly. I can't think of a player that he's using where I'm going, you're not using him properly. But if you have any, then please do put them forward and we can have a chat about it. But not in any situation there have you come out with any positives for the manager. So if he gets players, he won't use them properly. If he don't, he's turned them down. Nothing on the 49ers. And yeah, exactly. We have to factor this in. Well, that's about subs. That's in-game management. That's nothing to do with players. So he don't use players properly, and you've just said every sub. That don't make sense to me, mate. Give me a player that he's misprofiling, that he's not using properly, because that was your statement. You're just saying, and I would argue as well, by the way, he subs this. If I were to check goals by subs, guess who's got the most? Guess who's got the most? Leeds. Guess who scored the most goals post 90 minutes? Leeds. So I would argue the manager's subs do work at times. It's just you remember the ones that don't, and they're later than we'd like. So it becomes an issue during the game when it's 0-0 and we're going, come on, make us change. But the stats back up what I've just said in terms of when we score and how many goals are scored. But if you could come back and tell me which players he's using incorrectly. And a great, again, Vic, man. I need to get Vic on, don't I, man? Just because we want subs earlier doesn't mean we're right. Exactly. I would argue the manager's right. More than he's not. You know, but if you can again come back to me with players that he's using incorrectly, or he will use incorrectly. So let's say, for example, by your logic, I assume we bring in Mergin Berisha and he plays him as a DM. That would be wrong. You know, that would be wrong. You could argue using Dan James as a 9, which Bielsa did, would be wrong. I don't know. I can't look at a situation in where the manager's using players incorrectly. Maybe. You know, I don't want to give you your answers. You could maybe make the case for, well, he could try a winger in the 10. Maybe that's something, but I don't know. Melia should be used as a goalpost. At least they might hit him and come out, mate. I don't know. But yeah, it's a difficult one. That one, Mark, if I'm honest. And you can't be right all the time, can you? The manager can't be right all the time. If he was, we'd win everything. So wait and see. But again, Schmidt is the new Gruev. Well, if Schmidt doesn't play, then at the weekend, then there's an issue, isn't there? And there's a massive issue, and he doesn't trust him. He did bring him on in left back in a few games. For all we know, his training might not be up to the level as well. We don't know any of this. But just to go through some of the news, which is poor, Abdul Qadir Kuzanov, that we were linked to a few weeks back, a centre-back who was playing at Lens, is now going to Manchester City. 30 million. I don't know how we were ever there. Leeds, loan agreed, striker signs, Wrexham's dream January transfer window. What's this? I don't know what this has to do with Leeds United. It's probably the Bamford stuff, but that's never happening. He's on about 40 grand a week. And why would any team take Patrick Bamford? Because he's always injured. Leeds close to agreeing a deal for striker in his prime, which is Berisha. Again, that's just a tweet from Ben Heckner. Loan deal for 18 months with an option to buy the German international during. Listen, I'd be on board with it. I'd take a number 9 for sure. But that's it really in terms of news. We've just got to hope and pray that you know, when you read between the lines, when you hear between the lines, if that is so far much. If you like listen to what Farke's saying, he said there's money there. He's mentioned that, you know, they'll keep their eyes open in 1 or 2 positions and then also look to see if there's any injuries. So he's not shut the door on it. Bamford's injured. Joffrey could be on his way out. Joseph's probably not done as well as he first thought. You know, let's not forget the manager started with Joseph. Joseph lost his place, not Farke. Farke didn't. Joseph lost his place. Don't forget that, folks. When you have a striker coming off the bench and scoring every game, you can't then say you're going to continue playing off the bench. And ultimately, whenever Joseph been used since, he's not done enough to wrestle it back. Them's the facts. You might prefer Joseph, but them's the facts. Them's the details. You know? So maybe we do look at a 9. Latte, and Berisha. But the biggest one for me is the 10. And we're not being linked yet, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, they haven't seen Wilder's comments. I know they got beat, obviously, by Cardiff. They might see that as a blessing in disguise. You know, I know that if we got beat by Harrogate, we'll get bantered, but at least we can say, well, we can focus on the league. But I do think we'll win at the weekend. There will be a watch-along, obviously, tomorrow. It's not till later on, but Tom Walton says, I reckon Leeds are brewing something. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice. And feck Bamford, Simon. You know, feck Bamford. I don't care for the man no more. Anyway, thanks as always for tuning in. I enjoy doing these sort of like just streams, just chatting with you and getting the general opinion. Hopefully, fingers crossed that Leeds United will do some business. This, 21 days left. David says, why a 10, Joe? We create the most chance already. It's we need a 10, mate. We need a different profile of 10 to what Brendan Aronson is. Someone who can unpick the lock when we're up against low blocks. We definitely need another 10, David. We can look at chances created and all that sort of stuff. I hear you. But yeah, we could definitely do with a 10, in my opinion, just to share the minutes. You know, you can't rely on one player to play 46 games and expect him to be at the same level. And that will be Brendan Aronson, and he's going to get beasted if we're not careful. But watch this space. Thanks for watching the channel. Maybe there'll be something out later on if anything happens. You know, I'll be there. Thanks as always for your support. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow for the watch along for the FA Cup game against Harrogate. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks. Have a nice Friday, and I love you all. Peace out. Bye-bye.